Hallo liebe Leute, willkommen wieder hier auf meinem Kanal. Weiter mit Gabriel Knight. So, genau, wir waren das letzte Mal hier stehen geblieben. Jo. Gerade am Überlegen. Genau, wir wollten zu der Wohnung.
Gabriel, I'm so glad you stopped by.
Oh, sorry it's been a while, Grandma.
Not at all. Give me a kiss.
Now come on, sit down. Tell me how you're doing.
Oh, ich würde sagen, dann schauen wir uns mal um.
Gran has a way with plants and kids. That ficus tree would be real helpful. Right. Granny likes soft lighting. Granny likes the lamps lit. Mostly pictures of Gabriel, his dad, and Harrison Knight. Gabriel is sentimental enough without dragging those photos into it. Grandmother Knight rarely uses the fireplace these days. Too much of a hassle to clean.
Okay.
On the wall are portraits of Gran and Granddad when they were young. Gabriel's inherited some good-looking genes. On the wall are Gabriel grew up in this room. Just being here makes him feel safe. And after about 5 minutes, claustrophobic. Gran's knitting. She whips through that stuff like there was no tomorrow. Gabriel doesn't knit? Okay, so Gran did teach him once, but he hasn't done it in years. Still, Granny's knitting? How low can you get? Fresh carnations, Granny's favorite. That clock has been in the Wright family, Granny's family, for centuries. Granny doesn't like anyone messing with her clock, including Gabriel. Granny likes soft lighting. Granny likes the lamps lit. Granny's side chair still has that annoying loose spring in the seat.
Make yourself at home, son.
Okay.
The sofa has a worn blue chintz pattern that Gabriel remembers fondly. Gabriel doesn't want to crowd Granny. He prefers the chair.
Gut.
That's my Gran. Adorable as always.
Oh, you're such a tease.
Hey, that's my Gran. Show some respect. How have you been, Gran?
Just fine, dear. I'm sorry I bothered you at work, but, I was hoping you'd get a chance to go through your father's things in the attic.
Don't be silly. You can call me anytime.
Ja, dann fragen wir mal durch.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Voodoo? What an odd question, Gabriel. Of course, you always were interested in monster movies and all that other weird stuff. You get that from your father and Granddad. I don't know anything about it, dear. Of course, it was very big in New Orleans at one time, but you don't hear so much about it these days. Too much else in the world to worry about, I guess.
Okay.
What can you tell me about the voodoo murders?
Oh, Gabriel, nothing. And I don't want to. I sometimes wonder what this world is coming to.
Fragen wir uns alle.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
New Orleans is very southern, of course, though not as much as it used to be when I was a girl. It's gotten much more influenced by the East Coast and that California stuff. Still, it hasn't changed as much as other places, I reckon. We've always been happy here.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
My goodness, boy, you lived here all your life, just like me. I can't tell you much that you don't already know.
Hätte sein können.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve? I remember when I was a girl, we always had a St. John's Eve Mass. The Mass was said at midnight, and we held candles. One time, on the way home, we were waylaid by a large group of drunken revelers. They didn't hurt us, but oh, I was frightened. My father was furious. We never went to St. John's Eve Mass after that.
Aber traurig.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I haven't celebrated it in years, Gabriel. I'm sure there's still Mass in the more traditional churches, but I don't go.
Have you ever heard of Marie Laveau?
Marie Laveau. Oh, of course. She was that voodoo woman, wasn't she? She preyed on people's fears and superstitions, is what I think. There are always those willing to take other people's money for nothing. You stay away from people like that, Gabriel.
Yes, Gran.
Ja, also besser.
Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes? What kind of snakes, dear?
I don't know, local kinds.
Well, we used to get cottonmouths in the park when I was a girl, but I haven't heard of one being sighted for years. Milk snakes and garter snakes are also around these parts, but they can't hurt you.
Thanks, Gran.
Ja,
Do you know anything about animal masks?
Why, no, dear. Do you mean Mardi Gras masks?
Never mind, Gran. Can you tell me anything about a secret voodoo hound for?
Gabriel, my goodness. What are you up to these days?
Oh, nothing, Gran, really.
You'd better not be. You know you're the only family I have left.
I know, Gran. It's okay. Does the phrase Cabri Sanko mean anything to you?
Something without something, I think. Oh, my French is so rusty, I swear my mind is going.
No, it's okay. Thanks. Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
What, dear?
Never mind.
Dambala.
Have you ever heard of Dambala?
What, dear?
Never mind.
Okay.
Tell me about yourself.
Me? Surely you have something more interesting to talk about.
No, come on, Gran.
Oh, Gott.
Oh, all right, dear. What do you want to hear?
Was machst du so?
What do you do all day?
You know how I love to knit and work in my garden. I also take long walks. It's the only way to keep an old body like mine from stiffening up.
You're not old.
Oh, don't be foolish. I'm older than the hills.
Ihre Kinder.
Tell me about before you met Granddaddy.
Well, you know I was born Rebecca Wright. My daddy owned a lot of land outside of town. We grew peas and corn and cotton, all kinds of things. It was a good childhood, but my father was very strict. He didn't much let me out of his sight.
Tell me how you met Granddaddy.
Oh, I met Harrison at a church revival. There was a traveling preacher back then, a big fella named Reverend Jim. I even remember his slogan, "Come to me to find your way." Your granddad was sitting right behind me and my girlfriend, Alma. And at one point, old Reverend Jim was flinging his hair around with his fine brimstone annex. And a piece of it, one of those small add-on do's for men, went flying off. I swear, Harrison and I were the only ones that noticed. We both started laughing to beat the band. Everyone looked at us like we were a couple of loonies. Oh, it was then I knew that he was for me.
Sich schön an.
How you feeling these days?
Fit as a fiddle, and don't you worry your head about it.
Just tell me anything at all.
I had your father when I was 22. The doctors told me I couldn't have any more after him, so I'm afraid I spoiled him rotten.
Just tell me anything at all.
I hate to admit it, but I was a jealous little thing when your granddaddy and I were younger. I loved him so ferociously, and he did attract the eyes of the ladies whether he wanted to or not.
Just tell me anything at all.
I get lonely sometimes, but I have lots of girlfriends in the neighborhood. I call one of them if I'm feeling blue.
Just tell me anything at all.
I wish you'd settle down and give me a great-grandchild.
Oh, Gran. Just tell me anything at all.
I never loved any man but your grandfather. And I never will.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
You know, you get prettier every time I see you.
Oh, you.
Have you baked any of your incredible molasses pies lately?
No, dear. But you let me know when you want some, and I'll whip up a half a dozen.
You've lost weight. Are you courting a new man?
Oh, Gabriel, don't be silly. You know there'll never be anyone but your granddad for me.
Your hair looks very pretty today, Gran.
Well, thank you, dear. So does... Well, you've always had such nice, thick hair, Gabriel.
You know, I always tell people that my Gran is the prettiest grand old belle in the city.
Oh, dear. You shouldn't talk so.
What's new, Gran?
I've been working on baby sweaters for the church bazaar. Keeps me busy.
Done anything interesting lately?
I raised you.
Lately, Gran.
Oh, you know me, Gabriel. I always got my nose poked in something.
It must run in the family. You're looking well, Gran.
Oh, thanks, dear.
Is there anything you need?
Me? No, I'm just fine, Gabriel. I have more than enough of everything.
Nice weather.
Oh, Gabriel, please. It's been just awful. Muggiest summer of my life.
Are you okay, Gran?
I'm right as rain, boy.
Okay.
Tell me about our family.
Who would you like to hear about? Your granddad, your father, or your mother?
Fangen wir hier oben an.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad immigrated to America when he was 21. He walked his way through school, met and married me, and we had your father, Philip.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad supported me and your father with bookkeeping. Oh, I tell you what, though, he hated every minute of it. Didn't really like bookkeeping one bit. Maybe that was why he had the worst luck with jobs. Oh, the nights he'd come home afraid to tell me he lost another. And I'd tell him it didn't matter to me, but he felt ashamed, Gabriel.
Uh-oh.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Harrison was only 36 when he died. Your father was 8 years old at the time. Your granddad was hit by a streetcar in the business district. It took me nearly a year to believe he was really gone.
I'm sorry, Gran.
Oh, I know you are, dear.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Did you know that your granddad was a poet? He was. He wrote the most beautiful poetry for me when we were courting. I always thought he should have done something with that gift, but he was such a practical man, didn't believe in chasing after dreams.
Tell me about my father.
Your father was my only child. How we adored him.
Tell me about my father.
Philip suffered from terrible nightmares, just like your granddad did. Oh, they were two peas in a pod.
Tell me about my father.
When Philip met your mother, Oh, it was love at first sight. They were married 2 weeks later. Never looked at a girl seriously until then, and he looked at plenty. You have your father's way with women, Gabriel. And your granddad's.
Tell me about my father.
I wanted to just lay down and die when he and your mother were killed in that car crash when you were only 8. It was the thought of taking care of you that kept me going, Gabriel. The police say your father swerved off the road after being frightened by something. Perhaps a deer in the road, or a wildcat.
Tell me about my father.
Your granddad wanted Philip to have a normal life. He was obsessed by that thought. He pushed Philip to go to law school, but Philip was driven to art. He painted almost in a daze. He would get so inside himself when he worked.
Tell me about my father.
He always hated that it was Margaret's money that supported the 3 of you when his painting couldn't. I kept telling him, try something more cheerful, like a landscape or two, but he couldn't do it. His work was just too dark and disturbing for the public, you know.
Tell me about my mother.
Your mother was Margaret Templeton when your father met her. She came from a very wealthy Creole family in New Orleans. She was beautiful and reckless. She was madly in love with your father, of course, but I also think she liked to find her family. Since you're so interested in family history these days, why don't you go by St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 and visit the family tomb? It would be such a sweet gesture.
It's just past the Ross tomb, right? Oh, maybe I will.
Okay.
Tell me about my mother.
Your mother's family refused to give her money after the marriage. All she had left was a modest trust fund from her great-aunt, who happened to like Philip. The remainder of your mother's trust fund became yours when she died. That's what you used to open your bookshop.
Tell me about my mother.
The Templetons are all gone now. Every last one of them. Oh, they never wanted anything to do with us, of course. What a waste.
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
Gut, ich würde sagen, schauen wir mal hier.
I'm gonna go up to the attic, Gran.
Be careful of the dust.
Be careful of the dust.
The old velvet curtains hung in the parlor before Gran lightened the place up.
I think I'll leave that up here.
These old picture frames have been up here for years.
I think I'll leave that up.
It's an old dusty bicycle tire.
I think I'll leave that up.
It's an old dress dummy that Gran had in her sewing room years ago.
My first impression of the female form. Do I really look that desperate? I think I'll leave that up here.
It's a lady's hat from the 1920s.
And from Gran's Virginia Woolf period. I think I'll leave that up.
The sheet-covered upholstered rocker used to be in Gabriel's nursery.
I think I'll leave that up.
That box of knickknacks has been up here for at least 5 years.
There's nothing I want.
Grandma's attic is a storehouse of forgotten treasures and useless junk. A skylight lets welcome sunlight into the attic. The brass bed frame is from God knows where.
I think I'll leave that up here.
The old trunk looks like it's gone to hell and back.
It looks pretty heavy. There's a lot of Granddad's old stuff in here. Might be something interesting.
A bundle of letters. Love letters between Harrison and Rebecca. More of Harrison Knight's German books.
Just what I need.
some old clothes, including a pair of leather shorts.
Aren't those called lederhosen? What's this? It's some sort of key.
An elaborate mechanical clock, probably of German origin, is among the discarded treasures of the attic.
I think I'll leave that up here.
The face of the clock is hand-painted. A ring of 6 symbols surrounds the face of the clock. A sword, a sun, an angel, a noose, an eclipse, and a dragon. The ring of symbols doesn't appear to have any mechanical function, but it does move. There's an interesting design in the base of the clock. A keyhole sits empty on the side of the clock. Nothing happens.
Ja, wir brauchen halt hier irgendein Symbol, was wir hier machen, anschalten müssen. Moment, da war noch eine Golftasche, habe ich gerade gesehen, die hatte ich vorher gar nicht so bemerkt. Die jetzt nicht. Ja.
It's Granddaddy's old golf bag. Golf, I'm not sure what my game was, but it wasn't golf.
Jetzt habe ich aber alles. Könnte sie mal fragen, vielleicht noch irgendwas.
Can we talk,
Of course, my boy.
Okay, danke.
Oh. Well, Gran, I'd better get going.
All right, dear. Be good and keep safe, Gabe, honey.
I will, Gran. See ya.
Ob er noch was hat für uns? Ob er da ist?
There's a PA. The door to Hart.
Hast du irgendwas Neues für uns sagen?
Hello there. Got a sec?
Go ahead. These folks ain't in no hurry.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo hound fall?
I don't know nothing about that.
Okay. Er kennt sie nicht.
A statue of a small child clings to a cross atop the right tomb. The marble residents of this city of the dead say nothing. This family tomb bears the inscription, "Rest in peace," and the name BloodyMely. Gabriel doesn't care to communicate with the inhabitants of that tomb. The marble... This family tomb bears the inscription. An odd monument highlights one gravesite. It looks vaguely reptilian. The marble resident. This above-ground tomb is only large enough to accommodate one resident. The marble and granite. A wrought iron fence surrounds this tomb.
I hope that's to keep people out.
The Wright family tomb. Several of Gabriel and Grant's family members are laid to rest here. The marble and granite tombs. If Gabriel wants to address his ancestors, he should choose a specific plaque. Someone has left a small vase by the Wright family tomb.
Not sure who else comes here besides me and Gran, but that was nice of them.
The marker reads, Franklin Wright.
These are Gran's folks. I never knew them.
Gabriel doesn't want to take the nameplates from his family tomb.
Hi. I'm Rebecca's grandson.
Much as when they were alive, the Wright elders give no response. The marker reads, Merrill Planter Wright.
These are Gran's folks. I never knew them. Hi. I'm Rebecca's grandson.
Much as when... The marker reads, Harley Wright.
Gran's sister. She died young. Gran talks a lot about you, Harley.
The marker reads, Harrison Knight.
Granddaddy. How's it going, Granddaddy?
The marker reads, Philip Knight.
Daddy. Hey, Daddy.
The marker reads, Margaret Templeton Knight.
My mother. Miss you, Mom. Oh, shoot. Huh. Looks like someone left something in that vase.
Inside the broken vase, Gabriel sees a $20 bill.
Looks like it's my lucky day.
Ja, jetzt kann er ja eigentlich dann nur noch das Gemälde dann verkaufen und dann sich die Gemaske kaufen, ne? Ich würde sagen, das machen wir dann in der nächsten Folge. Wenn es euch gefallen hat, lasst mir gerne einen Daumen hoch da. Gerne könnt ihr in den Kommentaren schreiben, ob ihr das Geld jetzt genommen hättet oder nicht. Würde mich mal interessieren. Und wenn ihr wollt, könnt ihr mir auch ein Abo da lassen. Da würde ich mich sehr drüber freuen. Damit wünsche ich euch noch einen wunderschönen Tag. Lasst es euch gut gehen und bis bald.